There remember no slopes of the fiat. Westness is no fist of us the worst. Yes, and this
Okay, welcome to Slice 3 of my Twin Peaks journey. I've just watched the one more episode from the last video, which was the finale to Season 1. No answers. I was really surprised. I wasn't sure, and I still am not sure about the production history as far as when Twin Peaks first aired. Did they know they were going to do a second season, that they were going to be picked up for a second season before they finished writing and filming the end of Season 1, or did they just go balls to the wall, stick in a cliffhanger, and hope for the best and hope that they got that second season to complete the story or to continue it, whatever. So I was surprised, because I kind of thought that shows that have cliffhangers at the end usually have been around for a couple of years before they start doing that kind of stuff. Or maybe that's just complete bullshit and kind of speculation in my head. I'm not really a TV show veteran. I don't watch a lot of TV shows, so I just thought in my head that it being the first season, it would have this self-contained finale. And I had seen kind of a spoiler on Wikipedia where it said that the mystery of Laura Palmer's death would be revealed in episode 8. Now, there are 8 episodes in Season 1 if you include the pilot. If you don't, then it's 7 episodes. So I'm assuming that episode 8, aka episode 1 of Season 2, will wrap up the story.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
And I'm kind of both disappointed because I was looking forward to finding out, but also relieved because 10 minutes before the end of this last episode of Season 1 I was getting a little bit anxious, like there isn't enough time to wrap up all these loose ends. So I can't wait to dive into Season 2 now. I've got a renewed sense of vigour in heading into Season 2 and I'm very excited to see where it leads. And so it seems like all signs are pointing towards Leo Johnson being the perpetrator of this.
You're wrong, you're wrong, you're wrong.
We had Laura's father kill Jacques in the hospital, and it seemed like Jacques was just a real low down, kind of dirty, kind of just, you know, proper just slime ball who, you know, just got caught up in this whole business and wasn't really a murderer who kind of had any kind of pre-planned intent on killing Laura. He just got wrapped up in it, and maybe we'll never know what his part was in it because he got killed. And then Leo got shot at the end by Hank because I guess he became too much of a kind of a hot property in the whole web of deceit that's going on in Twin Peaks, and he needed to be eliminated because of the things that he knew. I loved the scene in One-Eyed Jacks where Cooper speaks to Jacques and kind of wins over his trust with the information that he's got and manages to get Jacques to just spill everything. Like, I love the way he played him like a fiddle. I love the scene where Jacques turns up and gets caught by the cops, the Sheriff's Department of Twin Peaks, and his name Andy, the nervous cop. He finally got his big moment and just like stone cold just shot Jacques right in the shoulder and kind of neutralized him. That was a great moment for the character. We kind of got some tying up of the relationship between Lucy and Andy, where we find that she's been giving him the cold shoulder because she's pregnant. That seemed obvious to me, and I guess it was supposed to be because the signs were there. I'm intrigued to see where that goes because I really like Lucy as a character. It's kind of a fun, kind of ditzy but lovable character, and same with Andy too. I like him a lot, and I like a lot of the characters. Audrey is one I haven't talked about much. I really like her character. Ryan Chataway, also a big fan of the show, told me she's one of his favourite characters, I think, if not his favourite character. So I don't know if she goes on to have a much bigger part in the second season, but her part in this is very interesting. The whole first season, I wasn't sure what to make of her character to begin with, and by the time we get to the end, it's a very interesting character with a lot of layers to her, I think. She does these things she shouldn't be doing, and she does that from day one. When you first meet her character, she's screwing things up for her dad, but you can kind of see why she's become like that, and you kind of root for her even though she's doing these deceitful things. And where we leave Audrey in the end of season 1 is incredibly interesting, with her placement in the hookers section of One-Eyed Jack's, and her father coming in to see the new girl. Of course, she's unaware that her father runs this casino slash brothel, so just across the Canadian border. So really intrigued to see how that meeting is going to go between father and daughter in the next episode. There is the psychiatrist, who I thought was killed at the end, but it seems like he's going to survive, which is good because I liked his character. I found him to be interesting too. I want to know how he knew how to find the other half of the necklace from the beginning of the season. There's lots of answers I want, basically, and the big ending of the episode was Cooper getting a phone call saying, "We found Leo Johnson, he's been shot." A knock on his door, he opens it, and someone shoots him 3 times. Now, I know that, Kyle MacLachlan is in season 2. I know that he's in the new season, which is set 25 years afterwards, so of course he doesn't die. I'm assuming that, being a diligent FBI agent who always is prepared for any eventuality, he probably is wearing some kind of vest, and that's probably what's going to get him off, as far as his life is concerned. I say get him off like he's going to be on trial, but he'll make it out with his life intact in season 2, and we'll move forward. And again, I think that'll be the wrapping up of the Laura Palmer kind of mystery, who was the killer, in episode 1 of season 2.
Wrong, 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 wrong. Wrong, 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 wrong.
I've read that the creators of the show, David Lynch obviously, and Mark Frost, I want to say, is it? Yeah, it's Mark Frost. They're the 2 guys who kind of created the show, wrote the show, directed the show. From what I read, because now I've seen the end of season 1, so I've read a little bit more about the show, and apparently David Lynch wanted to have Twin Peaks go on almost indefinitely without ever finding out who the killer was, whereas Mark Frost felt that you owe it to the audience to deliver that news and to give them who the killer. And I kind of sit on both sides of the fence on that one. I find it really artistically interesting to never reveal the killer. I think that would be really cool, but at the same time it would frustrate me as an audience member not to know. And at this point, at the end of season 1, after seeing all of it, I do think that it was Leo Johnson, but now all signs are pointing towards it. You get the tape from her saying the guy in the red Corvette. It just seems a bit too neat, again, like wrapped up in a neat little package. So I don't know whether there's an extra twist coming. I suppose we'll see. I'm not sure how big a gap there was between the first and second season, although from the special features I've seen, it said something like Twin Peaks returns in September, so I'm assuming they had the summer break and then moved on pretty quickly with the second season, like a normal show, I suppose. But looking at a show that only had 2 seasons, I'm not sure about the history of it being run on TV and things like that, beyond there being a 2-hour pilot and then the 7 episodes and then the second season, which was the last up until 2017. Some of my favourite moments from the first season are probably the rock and bottle test that Cooper did, and I love Cooper, and I guess everyone does. He's a great character, played brilliantly by Kyle MacLachlan, just fantastic character, really. And I like how, I think in the 4th or 5th episode, it's when the Icelandic people move into the Northern Hotel. We first get to see Cooper getting a bit annoyed and getting kind of, he hasn't had much sleep, he's in a bit of a foul mood, and it's good to see that other side of him, because up until that point he's just completely optimistic all the time, and while that's infectious and fun to watch, it's good to see that he can be annoyed, and he does have a part of him that can be fazed by stuff. So I like that inclusion. I love the scene when Leyland turns up to this big gathering at the hotel, and he hears some music and he gets upset, and there's this thing going on through the whole first season where he longs to dance with his daughter again, and there's a lot of scenes that kind of tie in with that. And when he gets to this party and the music starts playing, he starts crying and he's holding his head, and Ben Horney doesn't want this to kind of ruin his deal with the Icelandic people, so he gets Catherine to dance with him, and she starts mimicking him, like going, oh, oh. And then all the Icelandic people are like, oh, I get to dance with him. I thought it was brilliant that, again, the humour in the show is really well done and of my taste, I think. But yeah, I'm intrigued to see who the killer is, how it's going to be resolved, and yeah, and I think I read as well that David Lynch said that we really kind of shot ourselves in the foot by, and I'm paraphrasing, by revealing the killer, because that was kind of the bread and butter of the series. You know, I think he said something to the effect of killing the goose that laid the egg as far as the show is concerned, although he also has talked about, or him and Mark Frost have talked about, how the mystery of Laura Palmer's death was more of a MacGuffin. It was just kind of there to service us looking at this small town America, just like the oddballs in this community up in the mountains and stuff. So yeah, I like both aspects. I like just the town and all the characters and the stories that interweave, but I also like the mystery of this murder as well, and the intrigue of Laura Palmer, this good girl. You know, this, again, you see the part of the cover there, the iconic image of her homecoming queen kind of picture, very just like, you know, the picturesque kind of perfect high school girl, you know, the homecoming queen. You know, everyone likes her, everyone wants to be with her, and yet she has this horrible past. Well, not past, this horrible second life. You know, I won't say past, but this other layer to her that people don't know, or it's implied at the funeral that most of them did know and they just didn't do anything about it, which kind of throws a lot of responsibility on everyone else. I like that scene where Bobby comes in and says, "You all killed her." You know, we all knew she was going through problems and none of us did anything. You know, the drugs, the sex, all that kind of stuff. I find that kind of a story really interesting. And I read that David Lynch was going to work on a film about Marilyn Monroe, and he liked the idea of that. This kind of glamorous girl who had a darker kind of side to her, but he was a bit unsure or uncomfortable with making that kind of a story about a real person, a real story, which is something I kind of relate to. I think. So I'm glad that he kind of took that and moved it into this kind of fictional realm. It's a bit more enjoyable for me when it's a fictional story, I think. When you look at something like that and murder cases and things, I get a little bit kind of unnerved when it's a true story, I think. But anyway, first season, Twin Peaks, loved it. Definitely a big kind of grower. You know, again, I was unsure at the beginning, but intrigued. And as it went on, I just enjoyed it more and more and more, and there's lots of stuff I want to see play out, and I'm fully hooked in. I'm fully ready to get into season 2. Now, I did say I'd be talking about the Blu-ray. I've watched the special features on the second disc, which contains most of the last episodes of the first season. Now, every episode has an intro from the Log Lady, one of the characters in the show. Each episode is about a 45-second intro from the Log Lady, and it's not specific to the episode, or maybe it is, I don't know. And she's just sitting there with her log, kind of just giving a cryptic message that kind of has a moral or something like that. And even though they're 45 seconds, I zoned out through almost all of them. Like, just the way she's speaking, I couldn't really connect to it at all. There's something about it, and my mind just kept wandering to anything but what I was listening to and watching on screen. But I'm glad that they're there. I'm not sure when they were done, if they were done for the DVD or if they were shown on TV, I don't know. Each episode, at least where applicable, has both a recap and a preview. You know, so here's what happened last week on Twin Peaks, here's what's going to happen next week on Twin Peaks. I love that they included that stuff.
Previously on Twin Peaks.
Harry, Albert, and his team are cream of the crop. Albert's a forensics genius.
What are you waiting for, Christmas? We've got work to do, damn it. They are putting this girl in the ground tomorrow, and we've wasted half the day traveling out here to the middle of nowhere.
I didn't watch most of them because I didn't want spoilers or, you know, anything of that kind to be seen for the next episode, but I watched a few of them after I'd finished the first season, and it's cool that they're there and they're in high definition and stuff. And then to round off the special features for season 1 on the second disc, there are some promos, like next week the finale of Twin Peaks, showing this time on Wednesday, because apparently the ratings were dipping, so they moved the night of showing Twin Peaks to a Wednesday instead of a Thursday, and the ratings got a bit of a boost for some reason. There's another, and some of the promos are like narrated by one of them was to promote them re-showing the entire show, like watch Twin Peaks from the beginning. Obviously at that point the buzz had built up from the show, so people wanted to go back and see it from the beginning, or they'd missed some episodes, so there's a promo for that, and that's in high definition, and it features Cooper kind of summing up all the characters, and it's very well written and stuff, and the editing is quite good. And then there are promos for tonight on Twin Peaks, and they're narrated by Lucy from the show, and she talks about, you know, this is what's going to happen tonight, and, you know, here's where the mystery is headed this time, and I really like that as well. That's what would have been on TV the night of the showing, the afternoon of the showing, whatever.
Hi, this is Lucy from Twin Peaks, but you're looking at Shelley, you know, from the diner. Well, last week she found Leo's bloodstained shirt in the wash. What'll she do?
And they're really funny as well, like some little jokes in there and stuff I found really amusing. I love all that stuff that kind of that gives you the context of the time the show was made. It's really cool. Like the ABC 90s logo at the end, really, really cool stuff.
Well, see you in Twin Peaks tonight. How do you get his hair to go like that?
And then there's some image galleries. There's a lengthy image gallery that has lots of behind-the-scenes shots from the first season, with David Lynch kind of directing the actors and things. Really cool shots. My only qualm is that this is Blu-ray, this is high definition. We're in the next realm of, or the current realm of home video, and an image gallery should not take 5 seconds to load each image. So literally, I'm looking at an image, I press right on the controller, and it's like, and then it loads, and it's like, wow. That took far too long than it should have. Then there's a gallery of the picnic with Donna and Laura, so you get to see lots of behind-the-scenes shots of them filming that sequence. And then the ski trip, which features Laura and Audrey together. And I think there's an image you see of them in this kind of ski kind of get-up, you know, with like the woolly hats and the stuff. You see a picture of that in the show, and there's like 20, 30 images in all slightly variant angles of that, which seemed a bit excessive to me, but anyway, there's lots of special features just in kind of those bite-sized pieces alone. So yeah, there's some really good stuff on this Blu-ray set, and I'm probably going to talk about all of it as I go on. So, oh, one more thing I forgot to mention. The storyline that involves Ed and his wife Nadine, and Norma and her husband Hank. I like that kind of love square that's going on between those 4 characters. And Hank, I think, is the actor who plays him is very good. I enjoy his performance and his character very much. And Norma too. I find her to be a really interesting character, and I enjoy her performance. But to get to Nadine and Ed, we last leave them in the final episode of season 1 with Nadine attempting to kill herself. She takes a bunch of pills, and I feel quite sympathetic to her character. There's obviously something has gone terribly wrong in her life up until, you know, the point we see her in the first season. So I did empathise for her, and I empathise for Ed as well and his struggles with his wife, and you see him kind of maybe regretting his decision to kind of hook up with Norma, perhaps, and to kind of feel like maybe he needs to stand by the side of his wife Nadine. And he finds her, she's taking the pills, he calls an ambulance, that's the last we see of them. So kind of the cliffhanger with that storyline is, will Nadine make it out after taking all those pills? Well, the thing is, if you get the Blu-ray and you pop in the second disc, there's a little compilation that plays over the menu of people talking about cherry pie. And there's a shot of Nadine talking to one of the characters about how good the cherry pie is, and I haven't seen that scene. So it's obviously from season 2. Thank you for the spoiler, Twin Peaks Blu-ray menu creator. It's a small point, but it's something that by the time I got to the end of season 1, I thought, so that clip of Nadine in the diner talking about cherry pie is from season 2, where she's currently alive. So I know that. It's not a big spoiler. As far as the grand scheme of the story goes, it doesn't really do too much damage, but a bit of a niggle there as far as the menu is concerned. I mean, it's a fun menu. I like the little compilation about the pie and everything, but yeah, definitely, again, a niggle. So I'll leave it there. Season 1, big thumbs up from me. Really excited to continue, and there's probably more I could talk about as well, but I think I'll leave it there for now. And yeah, I'll see you in the next one.